Nancy, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, hello.
Hello,
We
nice to meet you.
um you get the actual privilege today of not having the little pre-conversation that we normally have before we begin the podcast and go live. So you're just jumping on uh just completely live. So
I'm good at that.
so we're going to see what you're made of here.
Okay, all right.
just, just jump in without any preparation. We have joining us Nancy Davis Altman. Am I saying that
Yes,
right?
but you can call me Nancy.
Okay, so I don't have to call you Nancy Davis Altman every time I say your name tonight.
No,
Okay. No, we're really glad to have you, Nancy. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just going to jump right in here, and
okay,
I haven't had a chance to do the pre-interview with you or anything. So go ahead and just tell us where you're located, and we'll just go on from there. Tell us where you're located and just a little tiny bit about your how you got to this quilting business
okay.
journey.
So I am located in a little town in Gig Harbor, Washington, right along the water. It's a little fishing village, and I love it. It's called Gig Harbor, Washington. And I have been a quilter for over 50 years. Piecer. I've been
Okay.
long arm quilting professionally for 11 years now, maybe 13 if you count my first two machines that really didn't go last very long. So, so professionally, I've been a long arm quilter for 11 years, and I've quilted over
Okay.
4,000 quilts.
Okay. Wow. Impressive. Um, so you did piecing for many years prior to
I
actually getting into the long
yes,
army?
yes, I probably quilted long pieced longer than you are old.
I don't know. I don't know about that,
Okay.
but um, so um, so did you begin long arming specifically to do a business or quilting for others? Tell us a little bit about
Okay.
that.
2 years, 3 years before I bought my Gamel, I bought a small, it was a Viking. It was called a mega quilter. But the
Okay.
quilting space was only about 12 inches at the most. And it was all
Ooh,
hand guided. So, what do you do in 12 inches of space? It's kind of hard.
not
So, that
much.
machine lasted less than a year. Then I bought a Baby Lock quilter which
Okay.
had maybe 20 inches of throat space. And it did designs,
Okay.
but it only lasted about a year. And I wore it out,
Oh, really?
literally wore it out. Um, about that same time, I bought a quilt shop. And so I was trying to teach people how to quilt on a machine that did not have the longevity that I needed. So I started checking around. Okay, what is going to last me? What is going to hold up? And Andrew, that you know,
Hmm.
um, lived in Washington at that time. So
Yes.
he sold me my Gamel and he guaranteed me that it would hold up to anything I could ever throw at it, which it has. So I bought the quilt shop and then about 2 months later bought my Gamel.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I was thrown into the whole arena, but I wasn't sure at that point with what I paid for my Gamel if I wanted customers learning how to quilt on my Gamel. So
Yes.
I quit teaching it and started just long arming in the store. So I had a natural pool of customers to pull through for long arming because they come into the quilt shop. They saw my Gamel. Oh, you guys do quilts? Yes, we do. So that's kind of how I got started into the business.
Wow. Okay, so let me get this straight. You started out, you had a Viking, quilt space was too small
Too
for you.
small.
you got your next one, the baby lock, and didn't last. It got worn out after just a short amount of time of
After a
using it,
year. Yes.
and um, and so at that point you decided to do some homework and studying,
Yes.
and that's when you found your gamel, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, what uh, what type of gamble did you get? Was it hand guided,
No,
computerized?
no, I don't,
You got the
I'm
Statler.
going to say this as nicely as I can. I don't like custom quilts. That wasn't very nice though, was it?
That was not nice. No, that's okay. I'm kidding.
when
I'm kidding.
when a customer brings me a quilt, this is my philosophy. When a customer brings me a quilt, I like their quilt to be what you see when you look at the finished product, their piecing. When you do custom quilting, yes, it's beautiful, but the first thing that you see when you look at it is the custom quilting. So I'm prejudiced and I admit it. I want my customer to see their work when I give it back to them and then see my work.
Excellent. I've got you. So, well, by the way, if I may digress for just a moment, I want to tell the people who are watching, if you during the course, the people who are watching live, you can always submit a question. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a place where you can click and type out any question that you would like to ask Nancy, or comment or something like
Okay.
that, and we can share that live.
Okay.
So okay, so yeah, this is already shaping up to be a very interesting conversation, Nancy, and thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Um, so, was this? How long have you had your current? I'm sorry. Did you say it was a Statler or?
Yes.
I said,
Abigail
oh,
Statler. It's,
okay,
and I have to also add into that 2 years ago, I added the Ascend. Oh
okay.
my gosh.
So
I don't know
what
why
difference has that made?
oh, well, it increases my income because I can do a quilt in about two-thirds of the time. So what used to take me for an average throw, a 60 by 60 quilt, instead of taking me, of course, it takes longer to load quilt sometimes than it does to stitch it out. So, but to load it and quilt it, I can do a 60 by 60 with my Ascend in maybe 2 hours, where before it may have done it in 2.5 hours.
Okay,
So more time, more money coming in.
so
So
you're more able to redeem your time
yes, and
with the
time is
Ascend.
money.
Yes. Um, and how long have you had this Statler?
I've had my Statler for 11 years now. I
Okay.
and it still runs as well as it did 11 years ago. If I had to resell it today, I think I could get every dollar invested back out of it that I put into it. I've gone through two
You
motors. I'm
could.
on my third
Yes.
motor, but 4,000 quilts, you're going to go through some motors. Um, but I have never regretted buying the Gamel.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. I wanted to ask you, Nancy, when you first started, when you were first beginning your long arming business,
Mm-hmm.
did you know at the time if there was enough business in your area? Did you do any checking around? Tell us a little bit about that part of the
Well,
journey.
I had the opportunity of having my customers come to the quilt store. So that was an advantage I had that others didn't. But I have to also give my husband some credit because he likes to see me work. Um, so he took my business cards around to almost every quilt shop within a 50-mile radius of our house. So I got a lot of calls and work coming in from there. So if you're really promoting yourself, you need to be prepared to be ready for that. So if I didn't have the quilt shop, that probably would have been my only way of promoting my business.
Mhm.
I didn't never had it on Facebook. I don't do I our website on the shop had all of our fabric on, but it didn't promote the long arming, but I didn't have to. Within about the first 5 years, I hired a gal that also had a gamel that she bought. And so we had two gamels in the store, mine and hers, and she ran both of them. We were so busy that she was running both of them during the day, and I was running one in the evening to keep
Wow.
up.
Wow. So let me ask you, and you may have said this, the area that you live in, is it a densely populated area
It
or what?
isn't. It's a well, when I came here, there was only about 20,000 population. Now it's probably closer to 30 or 40. That's 25 years ago. But we're right across the Sound from Tacoma and
Okay.
an hour from Seattle. So a lot of my customers are from Tacoma.
Okay. Okay. And so you have in the place where you are uh, you're able to have enough customers to keep you quite busy, it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay. Um, so when you first got did you buy your Gamel new? Uh,
Yes.
okay. Um, okay. Do you feel comfortable sharing about the process of coming up with the funds to purchase your machine or your source with that?
I bought it from Andrew when he had
Yeah.
the store over in Eastern Washington. And $35,000 was a big chunk for me after already purchasing a quilt shop. So I financed it. He set
Okay.
up the financing for me through American Financial. And with,
Yes.
with having to pay for that gamble payment, I was making enough revenue from my shop to help me make that payment. But then within a year, I had to hire a long armor to keep me up to where I was only 30 days out. And that's about where I stay now, time wise, is about 30 days out.
Okay. So your
Did that answer
machine,
your question?
yeah. So
Okay.
your machine has been able to pay for itself. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Your machine has been able to pay for itself, would you
Oh, it
say?
paid for
Yeah.
itself within the first 5 years.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. And and uh, like I say, we didn't have the chance to have the conversation beforehand, but the the main purpose of this podcast is there are a lot of people that are watching tonight and will be watching after this that what they want is to see your story and to see if what you have done uh, with your quilting business, if there's things that they can glean from your journey that they can
Okay.
apply to themselves. So that's a lot of the driving force for a lot of the questions that I'm asking of you. Um, Let me ask you: do you have another job also, or
Not
did you have
anymore.
one when you started?
I had the quilt shop.
Okay,
I retired about 25 years ago, but
okay,
I don't understand retired. It's just boring. Um, so I've had a lot of different jobs along the way, but long arming is my passion, and I really would have a hard time totally quitting. Um, when I first started, I do a quilt a day, and maybe have it running while I was waiting on customers. But within a couple of years, there's no way I could have kept up. My advice to new people thinking about buying a gamel would be to say to you, make sure you have your skills developed before you start promoting yourself, because yeah, you may have to buy your gamel, and not have much income for the first couple of months while you do quilts for free or quilts for a charity, but develop your skills. And I think the second piece of information that I think would really be good was to tell them to learn how to say no. That sounds weird, but your reputation is based on the quality of work you do. So if you get a quilt that was made with seams that are coming apart and it's 40 inches on one side and 50 inches on the other, there's no way you can make that look good. But that person is going to show that quilt off, and it's not going to show off your work. So choose who you do work for. And the other thing that helped me immensely when I first started quilting is that I was a quilt teacher. So I taught everything you can think of. And I would get a customer in, and her quilt might be a little wonky, or she may have, blocks that could sleep 8, that kind of thing. And so I would say to them, I've been a quilt teacher, or I've taken 1,000 classes, or whatever you can say to them. Can I show you how to make this quilt better the next time? And when you can instill that confidence in them, they can't wait to bring you the next quilt and show you how much better it is. So teaching them how to put on a border. Hush, go. Sorry.
Got some family members there, huh?
Oh, yeah. He likes to voice his mind. Please ignore him for a minute. Simpson.
That's okay.
Instilling the confidence in them to constantly improve. Your work is easier because you're not having to flatten a quilt or try to straighten up, seams. That's the best you can do. You're promoting them to come back, bring you a better quilt, which means a repeat customer.
And this saying no thing that you touched on, can you share any examples of that?
Yes, I can. A really, really good one. This was in the beginning of my long arming journey, and I had a customer that brought me a quilt that she had appliqued, and it was a mess. Her half of her applique pieces, the glue had come loose. It was awful. But I thought, okay, I can fix this, So I must have spent 3 hours fusing her pieces back down, but they were so frayed because she had repeatedly tried to glue those down that by the time I finished it, it looked horrible. But it looked better than when she brought it to me. She was so unhappy. She went out in the car, sat down and cried, then proceeded to go to the Gig Harbor Guild meeting and say what a horrible job I did on her quilt instead of how bad she had quilted her quilt. That's when I should have said no, because I knew there was no way I could make that quilt look good, no matter what I did. That was a case where I should have said, let me teach you a lesson on fusing.
Wow. Valuable lesson.
Valuable lesson. Thankfully, another customer of mine that was at the guild meeting after this woman left walked around to everybody that was left and said, that wasn't Nancy's fault.
Great.
So that helped. Again, it's promoting goodwill.
Yes. Well, yeah, thankfully there was some grace. Somebody helped you, was there to tell the real story.
Yes, thank heavens.
That's wonderful. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Nancy, I have Elizabeth has asked us a question. And this may be a loaded question.
Okay.
What advice would you give to someone who is considering starting a long arm business at the age of 65?
Well, that's about how old I was when I started. I am 76. So if it's your passion and you love it, I don't care what age you are, do it. You might not have the same amount of years to continue on, but a lot of my customers have become my best friends. So if you love it, do it. Don't let anybody tell you no.
Excellent. And we will and we'll be touching probably on that a little bit more. Elizabeth did say thank you, Nancy. That was very encouraging. So thank you. I think already in our conversation you've inspired a lot of people.
Thank you.
So
I hope so.
let me get to some of the basics here. Do you how many hours do you do quilting for others these days? Would you say?
In all honesty, you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
um, there are days when my husband said, "Are you ever going to stop?" I would get up and start sometimes 7, sometimes earlier. Um, and there were evenings, my husband and I love to watch TV at night. And so I would make sure that I loaded a big quilt on in the afternoon and did my smaller ones in the morning, because I don't have any misgivings about leaving a quilt running as long as it's a good quilt. It's been pieced well. I would
Mhm.
get it going, start the row, run in, sit down and watch some TV with my husband. I'd hear that little ding. I'd run back in, roll it to the next row, get it going, go sit down, watch some more TV. So, there were some days that I would quilt from 8 till 11 just because I could. That's the nice thing about that a long arm business is because you set your time and you determine what you do with that time. So I could still spend some time with my husband and the machine's just going. So
Yes, yes.
it wasn't unusual for me to spend 40, 60 hours a week when I first started. I kind of slowed down a little bit, um, but
Okay. And do you you alluded to this? Do you do strictly edge to edge on
that's where the
everything?
money is.
Okay.
Custom quilting takes a lot more time. And unless you have a reputation, like some of the big name quilters,
Mhm.
they don't want to pay you $50 an hour to do custom quilting, but they will pay you $50 an hour to do edge to edge because you're not looking at the same number of hours. So to me, me personally, there's no money in custom quilting.
Okay. And as you were talking, Sandra has asked a question. She said, "When you started, Nancy, did you do edge to edge? Has
I've
that always
always
been?"
done edge to edge.
Okay.
And there are so many new designers now that are doing edge to edge designs. And you can almost make a custom quilt using your blocks that you have and the tools that's on the Gamble machine. So why do anything else? And personally, I just love the look of edge to edge. So maybe I'm prejudiced there, but I think my quilts look just as good, if not better, than some custom quilters, especially the back side. I like the back of my quilt to look as good as I do my front. So if a custom quilter's doing it and she's changing thread colors, 15 different times, and you've got all those stops and starts with different colors that don't make any sense on the backside, I want someone to be able to lay down, sleep under my quilt, snuggle up in it, and have it comfortable, not so tight that it's like laying under a board. So
Right.
I'm prejudiced, but that's how I feel.
Yes, I got you, and yes, and I appreciate you sharing that. And yeah, and there are different schools of thought on that, So, so that's good. You tell us where you stand on that, and that is okay.
Okay.
Um, so as far as charging, do you charge by the hour, the square inch? Tell us a little bit about that.
I charge by the square inch. One of the things I would advise a new customer who's wanting to start a business, a new person who's wanting to start a business, to do up a spreadsheet that has the layout of what you do. Whether you're doing just the long arming, whether you're doing binding for them, are you trimming their quilts when they're done, whatever you're going to be doing, sewing their backings, have all of that laid out. The other thing that I would really recommend a new quilter, and they can go to an attorney or not, but on the bottom of my take-in sheet that I have a disclaimer that if there's something wrong that they don't like, I will fix it. But they still have to pay for the batting and the backing if I've given them that, the thread. If they say, I don't like this, but I'll keep it, but I don't like it, well, then I give it all back to them except for the cost, because I don't want an unhappy customer. One unhappy customer is going to give you 50 that she's going to say, oh, Nancy did a terrible job. So your reputation is your most important tool. Use it. What was the question you asked me now? I forgot.
What is your charge per your square inch charge?
So that depends on the design. So you may have a design like Van Gogh. They don't know what that is, but it's a very simple design. You can do a row across a queen size quilt with a Van Gogh design in maybe 15 minutes to go across the quilt. If you've got a butterfly or something that's got a lot of detail to it, then that's going to cost more, because instead of 15 minutes to go across the quilt, it's going to take me half an hour. So
Right.
I have a little line on my take-in sheet that says dense pattern. And I charge 3 cents a square inch. I'll charge 3.5. If it's a dense pattern. So you've got to know your patterns. You have to have quilted them out to know how long it takes you. And I base my charges on how difficult the pattern is.
Okay. How many quilts do you do per year? And if you know this, how many quilts did you do about in your worst year and in your best year? If you can remember that. Not everybody has that
I know
information.
that when I originally started, I couldn't do as many quilts a day because I was so new. That it probably took me twice as long, and I might only do 1 quilt a day. So then I started learning, okay, if I've got 1 throw quilt, I can get that done by 2 in the afternoon, maybe if I start at 8. Well, then I can go ahead and load a big one, and I can get that partially done and then finish it the next morning. So it's more about budgeting your time and knowing what you've got coming up next. It might mean that you need to pull a quilt in front of another one that you took in. I try to do my quilts in order, but that doesn't always work. Sometimes you have to pull another one in so you can get 2 done in one day instead of 1 done in one day, and then 3 hours of nothing. So it's balancing your time.
Yes. And your shop, do you have you sell supplies? You mentioned batting.
Well, I used to.
Okay.
And during COVID, I saw the writing on the wall. So December of 2019, I closed my shop because I knew we were going into very difficult times. So I closed my shop. I sold out a huge percentage of my fabric. I still have a half a quilt shop upstairs in my studio. So then I just worked from home. So for the last 5 years, I've just been working from home, and I'm still 30 days out on quilts.
Okay.
So I'll do anywhere from 1 to 3 quilts a day, depending upon what my next quilt is.
Okay. We have one question. Do you have a website that lists your prices?
No, I don't need it. I mean, as a new business, you may, but since 2020, I haven't had a website, and I don't have a problem having time to take in new customers, because I have so many repeats now that I don't take new customers, period. And that didn't take long to develop. because if you do a good job and you promote goodwill, you're not going to have problems getting customers. Now, if you're new in this field, I would suggest joining a guild or going to quilt shops all around you, getting to know the people. Does the quilt shop have a long arm in the store? A lot of them don't. A lot of them sell sewing machines, but they don't sell long arming. Give them your card. I would rather know I'm getting my business through a reputable company than off a website where you don't know them, they don't know you.
Okay.
It's worked for me.
Okay. And I will tell the people watching that if you go on to gamble.com, there are a lot of resources on there that with the Accelerate program. And also, Nancy was alluding to learning your skills and everything. I would recommend, especially to newer people, to avail yourself of the new owner training, which actually comes free if you purchase a Gamel.
Yes.
But even if you have an older one or one that you can purchase that new owner training on the gamel.com website.
And Gamel has so many wonderful videos to watch. I've watched so many of them, and every time I watch them, I'll learn something new. So keeping up your skills with all the new things that Gamel has coming out, you can't not do it. That's part of your job, is to stay on top, because if you don't, a customer's going to say, oh, I know Gamel's got this now. Do you have it?
Right. And the training that's available is actually just videos. There's step-by-step videos that shows you how to do every basic task that you will need to do. Before we move on any further, Elizabeth is asking, could we please dig into detail a little bit with the pricing? Do you offer trimming the quilt, piecing the backs, putting in the binding? And if so, what kind of charges are those?
Oh, let me go grab one of my take-in sheets. Hold on. Okay, so I have 3 different pricings for doing bindings. And that's based on what they're giving me. So if I'm preparing their yardage, applying it to the front and the back by machine, it's $2.25 a foot. If I'm using customer prepared binding, which sometimes I'd rather let them make it for me. I'd rather make it myself, because they don't always press it straight and I have to wind up repressing it, retrimming it. But anyway, if they do, and I stitch it to the front and the back, then it's $2 a foot. If I prepare the yardage, machine stitch it to the front and hand stitch it to the back, then I charge $3.50 a foot. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I also trim the quilts. That's $10. I will piece their backings for them. That's $15, because that can sometimes take more time. And iron, if I have to iron the top to make it flat. And one thing that I learned a long time ago is best press is your best friend. If you've got a customer that's brought their quilt in and it's in a brown paper bag, charge them for ironing it. That's going to be $15, because it's going to take you a while. And best press will take out all your problems. It'll shrink in a block that's too fat, or it'll ease it out if you need to bring it out. Miscellaneous things that I need to do: if I have to put a dart in it because it's too long, if I have to finish some of their seams, if they're open, I charge them $25 an hour for that. Did that cover all she asked about? Oh, and a rush job. If they say, oh, I just finished this quilt and I'm sorry, but the wedding's next week, and she needs it back in a week, then I charge anywhere between $15 and $50, depending upon how many days they need it back. If they need it in less than a week, it's an additional $50.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that part.
Sure.
I know that's very valuable. And Elizabeth just said thank you again. Very helpful. And did comment on here that the new owner training has been really great. Apparently, she has some experience with
Good.
that.
Good.
And oh, and Anne is also asking what price for pressing?
15.
15. Okay, excellent. Yeah, these quilters are asking all these specific questions here. Um, okay, I
Now,
don't.
let me
Go ahead. Go
let
ahead.
me let me reiterate something here. Those are the charges that I charge
Uh-huh.
based on the income category of the people in my area. Where
Yes.
I
Yes.
live, we have a lot of very wealthy retirees who don't think twice about spending $15 a square foot, I mean, a square yard, for fabric. If you're in
Mhm.
an area that doesn't have that same economic income, then you may have to charge less until you've established your base and then ease your prices up. But if
Mhm.
you're in a big city, go for it.
Yes, and that's very insightful what you just said because I've in my talking to different people it's very true that it's based on where you're at.
Exactly. If you're
The
in a
chart,
rural
yeah,
farm area, if you're doing online jobs where you're getting people from, I did one lady from France when I had my shop. Um, you never know where they're coming from. So you have your basic and know that it works for where you are. And then as you get better and develop more skills, then you need to
hmm
increase that. If you were a CEO for some company and you made, $75 an hour, you might not make that to start, but
hmm
with time you probably can, especially if you
Gotcha.
put the uh, ascend.
Yes, and yes,
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 makes a
and
huge difference.
the
I
voice
would
of experience.
encourage any person who's thinking about buying a new gamel to have the ascend on it because it's going to make day and night difference.
And I will say the difference, what makes the ascend a step above. The Statler is a great rapidly quilting machine accuracy. The Ascend is able to go even faster with even more accuracy because it has beefier the X and the Y motors that move the actual machine, and the
And the
belts
belts.
that are attached to that
Yeah.
motor, those motors are beefier, and so it's able to hold the accuracy even at high speed. That's how the Ascend uh, goes even a step beyond the regular Statler. So just FYI for the people that are watching. I don't want to run out of time, Nancy. Can you tell us uh, what has been the hardest part about about growing your business? Do you have any
About
experiences you can tell
growing
us?
my business,
Yeah.
I guess learning how to budget my time. Um, because once you start developing those skills and you're really confident in what you're doing, you need to you need to first set aside time for your work if you're a piecer. Dedicate, one of your own quilts a day. I mean, excuse me, a day, a month. Set some time aside for you, or your quilters that are bringing you quilts are going to eat you up. And I had a calendar, a desktop calendar. Once I learned how much I could get done in a day, and I would write on 4003. All of my quilts have invoice numbers when I bring them in. So I would put that number and the size of that quilt on my calendar. So I knew I could do that quilt in one day. And every day when I had a new quilt come in, I would write that on my calendar, and it was right where my customers came in. So they saw my calendar. They knew I had all those quilts ahead of them. It makes them much more tolerant of your time when they see how much work you have to do. Until I started that, they'll eat you up. Oh, can I get this next week? No. And then
There's that no word.
that no, learning how to say no. That's the best advice I could give anybody. Because no, I can't get it done this week, but I can maybe get it done for you next week. Are you willing to pay $50 for a rush fee? Yes, I will pay $50. Then I can get it done. But that means you're working through dinner time to get that done. And as you build your business, you're going to get busier and busier. So budget your time. It's equally as important as developing your skill. And if you're putting out quality work, the customers are going to come because Mary's going to take that quilt to her friend and say, oh, look at this. She's going to be visiting someone for lunch. You should have seen the job that she did on my quilts. They're going to come. Don't worry about it. They're going to come.
Awesome. Who's been your biggest cheerleader support system?
My husband first. He's been amazing. He puts up with a lot. But my customers, I had one little girl. She's like 10 years old. And she brought me her first quilt with her grandmother who helped her make it. And her grandmother told her, now, when you get this back, it's going to look different. Okay, Grandma. She comes to pick it up with her grandma. And I had my husband with the camera. And I opened up the quilt for her to see. Oh, and I need to tell you about that too. I opened up the quilt so she could see the whole thing. She must have jumped a foot off the floor 15 times. Oh, I love my quilt. I love it. You said it was going to be pretty. It's so pretty. They're my best. They're my support group.
Mm.
And I always, always, always pull the quilt out of the bag, hold it up, and show it to them so they can see it up and down, and so they know exactly what it looks like. I have never not shown them their quilt, because if they leave the shop happy, they can't come back and tell me I did a bad job.
Mm. Mm.
And I see the joy on their face. What better job can you have than that? So my customers probably are my best support group.
And that's one of the things that makes it so worth it, isn't it?
Yes.
So, what kind of impact has the money, the control of your personal schedule? What kind of impact has that had in your life?
A lot. I've always I've had a job since I was like 13 years old. That's why retiring wasn't in my blood. But quilting's not a cheap hobby. So retiring from my store, closing that down just prior to COVID, I then could still continue to buy all the fabric I wanted. Not that I didn't have enough. All the fabric I wanted, all the thread I wanted, every new gadget that I wanted, I could then buy. So if you're going into the quilting industry and you're going in so that you can pay for the gamble, you don't really care about building a business, then about once you get into it, you can't stop. Then that's fine and good. If you get, because it's an expensive piece of equipment to buy. But if you're doing it to make money, then so why are you going into it? What do you want to get out of this new business that you're starting? And figure that out first and then go from there.
Okay. Nancy, is there anything that you can think of that you wish somebody would have told you way back at the beginning when you first started?
I wish maybe that I had taken more time to do more of the, and I said I didn't like custom, didn't I?
You did.
To do more of the learning on how to set blocks in, or how to do the borders. I've never really, I mean, 4,000 quilts, and I still don't feel like I have mastered dropping a block in on a quilt and making it look as good as my edge to edge. So I wish I had the time to learn my machine and what it can do before I really jumped into it full bore.
And that learning aspect, just in listening to you, it sounds like that you place a high premium on that.
Oh, your knowledge is your value. And that's what the customers are coming to you for, your knowledge. They're going to say, what looks good on my quilt? I probably have 5,000 different designs, but you need to learn to look at your customer's quilt and know what's going to look good on that quilt. And then what color thread is going to look on that quilt, look the best. So I personally, can I use brand names? I personally discourage my customers from using anything except Quilter's Dream and Warm and Naturals made here in Washington State. But I am a Quilter's Dream fan because I have
Okay.
never had a piece that hasn't been good. Um, and my machine, and believe it or not, and you might not agree with me on this one, my machine likes glide thread. So it's an all-American quilt by the time I'm through because Quilter's Dream is made in America, Glide is made in America, and Gamma is made in America. And I was a Marine and I was an American. I am. So know what works on your machine. And the other piece of advice that I would always give them is that first bobbin that you pull out, you always test the tension, right? But the
Mhm.
second and third and fourth of the same color, do you test that bobbin? Yes. Every bobbin that goes into my machine gets tested before I load it on the machine because the tension can change. And this, I think I learned from Glide, maybe. Um, if it's on the outside and you've got a warm room, it's going to be looser than you get down into the center of the bobbin.
Yeah.
So all those little tiny things is going to make your
Yes.
job easier. So
Yes.
research your machine, research your batting, research your thread, and figure out what works. The gal that I had running the long arm machines in the store, her machine did not like Glide. It only liked King Tut or the cotton, the plain cotton. My machine only liked Glide. I don't know what the difference is. You have to tell me that there. But they're temperamental little things. And that's okay.
Gotcha. Um, okay. There's still people pouring questions on here and we're trying to
Okay.
finish up here, but let me, uh, do you take before and after picture? What information do you keep and for how long for each quilt that you do?
Every time I do a quilt, I take my quilt number, my invoice number, and the customer's name. And when you save it, you save that to your computer. So I've got 4,000 over 4,000 names and numbers in my computer so that if Mary comes in or Mary Jane, for example, comes in and said, what did you do on that quilt that you did a while back? I don't have to go to my invoices to see that I did paws and hearts. I can go to my computer and pull up their name and know exactly what quilt I did, what design I did. And it's kind of hard to know your repeats, but you can guess it pretty closely. But mainly, I want to use that paws and hearts again. So I've got it right there on my computer.
Okay. Anne is asking if you're going to the summit 2025, and she's suggesting it. Um, uh, let's see. There we go. Yeah. Are you going to the summit this year? Do
I
you
have
let's see if you thought about that?
too many quilts lined up behind me to get away.
Gotcha.
I just
But the people that are watching, if you want to know about the summit, go on to gamble.com and there's some valuable information on there.
yes.
Um, okay, they're still asking questions. What classes would you look for first? Somebody is asking.
Um, when I took the class, when I bought my gamel, Andrew did a weekend at over at his shop, and he went over all the basics of the machine. If you're new to long arming and you're new to a gamel, take a class on the basics first. And then if you've got the time, then work up from there. But you need to know the basics because it's very difficult to pick it all up. And plus the amount of time I've been doing this over 11 years, they have new versions. So every time there's an upgrade, and I used to have gamel get-togethers with the people around me when I had my store. Some of them said, "Oh, I can't upload Creative Studio, whatever it was, 8 9 years ago, because I just don't think I can learn it. I've been doing this for this one, and I don't want to change." Bullpucky, you need to learn it. You need to upgrade it because it's going to make your life easier.
Okay. Um, FYI, the people are watching are asking about the retreat. Online, you can go to gamel.com/repeat. I'm sorry, gamel.com/retreat 2025 and you can, that'll give you all the information about the summit and all that. Okay, last question.
Okay.
Maybe. Um, um, somebody may be watching this program wondering if they can follow some of the path that you have done. Do you believe that in this day and age, in 2025, we're finished with the COVID and all that thing that you went through? Do you think that it is possible for someone to do something like you have done even now?
I don't see any reason why they couldn't. Um, because quilters, piecers, let me change that. Piecers, when they look at somebody else's quilt that's been long armed and they think, "Oh, I can just do this at home." It's hard. It's hard to get the look of a quilt that somebody has paid to have done, to think that they can do that and make their quilt look as good. They can't. So, and I don't foresee the quilting industry declining. If anything, it's getting bigger than it was when I had my store.
Yeah.
So I don't just go for it. But if you're going to do it, you can't go into it half-hearted. You've got to give it everything you've got, at least for a while.
Excellent. Um, well, Nancy, thank you for so much. I'll tell you, it has been one of the easiest interviews because I just ask the questions and you just pour out your nuggets of gold. So it's
Well, if you
apples
can't
of gold. So
share your passion, where are you? I mean, quilting's my passion and I love
yes.
it.
Um, and Nancy, is there any? Do you have anywhere where people can like get a hold of you or find your stuff? Or I know you said you didn't
I
have a
have I
website.
have nothing online.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of online stuff because people see what they want to see rather what they're wanting to see is correct or not. So my customers are my best customers. Oh, I'll have a customer that comes and said, "Oh, you did Mary Smith's quilt and you did such a pretty job." So my customers and the word of mouth from them is all I need. But I've been doing it for 11 years. So I
Yes.
began by passing out my name in quilt shops and by having a quilt shop. So
Okay.
quilt shops are their best support.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Again, we have people. Sandy just said, "Thank you so much, Nancy. Lots of
Oh,
great information." Um, yeah. So those of you watching, Nancy Davis Altman in Washington. We want to thank you so much.
oh,
It's been very valuable. Thanks so much for all that you've shared with us tonight, Nancy, and happy quilting. Thank you very
thank you.
much.
Bye bye.